Rob is typically our note taker. Are there any volunteers to take minutes for this? I'm not even sure what the protocol is on a Zoom call. It's recorded, I presume.
It is recorded. The open meeting law still applies, so somebody will still need to do the minutes.
Somebody has to take minutes, and I'll take minutes.
Oh, thank you, Marcia. So how's everybody doing? Everybody's organization still running? Carole, I've been feeling bad for you with your 100th year anniversary.
Yeah, everything was canceled through June, of course, and that affected the Concord players. They had a year-end sort of party, places please, they were going to do, and all of the resident groups and several renters. Of course, everybody canceled, and now we're obviously trying to figure out when and how to gear up. And opinions, we have a 51 Walden board meeting tonight, as a matter of fact, and opinions are all across the spectrum, with some people thinking we should just shut down for a year, that, you know, it's going to take that long for anything to get back to normal, and other people are quite willing to take measures to, you know, stage some events, certainly with the guidelines mandated by the state, that doing something is better than nothing. And if it means a string quartet instead of a Beethoven symphony, that's where you start, maybe. But there are different opinions, and we will have a committee working on what anybody would need to do if they are having an event here. Certainly.
What do you do about the audience?
Well, it would have to be spaced seating, of course, and that might be self-selecting anyway, because maybe not so many people would be comfortable coming, even with masks and one-way routes. And we don't have fixed seating, so we can put the chairs where we need them. So with all that, maybe you only get 50 people, and maybe, as I said, you have a scaled back performance, but isn't that better than nothing? So those are the things that we'll be trying to decide, and certainly enhanced cleaning, and we've got volunteer house managers. Maybe we need to hire somebody to make sure all the guidelines are being followed. But the orchestra has planned an October concert with a guest conductor, and the players would like to reschedule their spring play for September. And as far as I can tell from what the governor has said so far, we would be in phase 3, which might begin in July, but nobody knows. I also don't know the numbers of the venues. So large venues are phase 4, I think, but that means football stadiums and stuff, and a 300-seat theater might be phase 3. Pretty hard to plan ahead, obviously, but I think there's some energy for doing some things.
Kate, how are you guys doing? Have your plans progressed?
You're muted, Kate.
Unmute.
Kate is.
Am I muted still? God.
Now you're okay.
Okay, so where we are now is we're just really trying to create a hybrid to ease the transition, because everything is so uncertain that we feel that we need to just go in both directions at once. So that's what we're doing. I got some guidelines about how to open, how art organizations, what they should do, some official guidelines. And so I'm happy to share those with other art organizations. And
they come from the state?
No, it was from an art, it was actually through Instagram. Somebody forwarded it to me. So I haven't even looked at it, so I have to review that. And you know, we're doing okay with all of our online ventures and have found that that's rewarding in some ways because we see how we can, I mean, we're being very optimistic and seeing the silver linings when they might not actually be there, but we're trying hard to do that. And it feels, we're feeling comfortable, I guess, right now. Everybody's job description has changed, you know, nobody's doing what they used to do, everybody. So there's a lot of flux, but at the same time, I think we're adjusting.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. I mean, I find that, you know, I'm doing about 400 times more development than I normally do right now, you know, and that's not my
Where the
favorite
revenue is.
stuff.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just where it is.
Are you getting 400 times the return? That would be a nice equation.
No, it's like those Cybunts from like 2001, you know, reaching out to everyone who's ever given a penny is what I've been up to. So yeah, we're digging deep, and the board's been great. You know, it's a lovely group of people, and so, you know, I feel supported, which is terrific. And
That's good.
yeah. Yeah. How about you, Jerry? And
I was going to jump to Kim next.
oh, okay.
Kim, you're on a phone, right?
Yes, I am. Well,
Are you
as you know,
are you doing
Jerry,
any planning?
all I was thinking about was a drive-in movie.
There are
Where can
It'd be
we
a
do
great
that?
fun.
Where can we do that?
Kim.
I know it's got to be a big field or something. That's just thing. I don't know about locations, and I'm thinking you could have food trucks. Wyatt knows how you can, with your phone, you can hook up your phone and you can hear the movie through your car, through your phone. Bluetooth, yeah. So I haven't gotten very far with it because location. I don't know where you could drive. You know, you'd want to maybe have access to a spot that you could maybe 40 cars, 30 cars. I mean, it's going to be a whole, you know, you could have a whole bunch of people in the car. But anyway, that's as far as I've gotten. I just,
It's a
I
great
don't know about where.
Great use of the funds, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's. I think
Food
again,
and
you could have
Mhm.
everybody with masks, and you could have food trucks, and you could. I think it'd be great, but that's as far as I've gotten. So it's just a thought.
Yeah.
That's a really good thought, and I've heard other people talk about it. In fact, I think it was BJ talking about it on a call earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a screen.
Maybe there's
Well-
some momentum behind that.
Yeah, the
All
town
right.
actually owns the screen. We have the large screen because we usually do the summer movies. So we've been talking
Yeah.
about it.
Well,
Is there
then
any
maybe
field
we
in
should
Concord that you
coordinate.
can drive on?
What about using the high school parking lot?
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's huge.
That's- it's huge. That's a great idea. How big is your screen?
It's huge. So when they use for the movies at a ride out every year.
Mhm.
Oh, well, we don't have to solve it all today, but that's
That's
we could
good
do
to know.
something here.
That would be
Yeah.
so great. Because I
Yes.
just researched that yesterday, you know, closest drive-in to me. And it's like, I had no idea where, it was like about an hour away. So I thought
I didn't
this is a sitting, you know, this market, people would love that. Would
It
love
could start something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great project.
could be-
Well, let's add that to our discussion about how to spend these funds.
Okay.
I'm
Good.
for it. Yeah.
Tom, do you want to chime in on how things are going at the museum?
Yeah, I mean, we're surviving, and you know, we had to cancel most of our spring fundraisers, which bring in quite a bit of revenue for us. But I too am very fortunate to have an incredibly supportive board, so they have stepped up, and we got a paycheck protection loan that helped us through. So we see our way through the end of this fiscal year. I think financially, we're going to work 4-day weeks over the summer, and I'll take a 20% pay cut. But it's interesting. I was more open to thinking about trying to reopen even as soon as July, with some fairly unorthodox time tickets or essentially private viewings of our Paul Revere show by groups of 10 or less. And my staff has been much more hesitant, so I have to listen to that. So now we're thinking maybe shoot for August 1st, but still not quite. One thing is even just getting supplies, like can you get the hand sanitizer type stations for people coming in and out? And I think that, I hate to say it, sounds like a little parochial, but I think they're okay with the office opening up and all of us trusting each other to follow proper protocols and not come to work when we're not feeling well. But when you start bringing in outside contractors, cleaners, and other people who are more dependent on that paycheck, who might consider coming to work when they're not feeling well, just innocently, I would hope. But because we're also building some exhibits starting in September, and staff's a little bit concerned about I imagine it'll be mostly men, but who come in to do that work. So anyway, we're trying to figure it out too. And we don't, we're trying to do more stuff remotely. As a matter of fact, I'm somewhat proud of the idea, but I'm not sure I'll be as proud of the execution. Memorial Day is an important day, obviously, for the nation. So we put together, I think, kind of our first somewhat formal program. I was down yesterday at the museum, and we did some filming. We have some interesting stories to tell. Memorial Day comes out of the Civil War, and some of our history is about the Civil War, obviously. And there was a lovely rededication ceremony last June of the Melvin Memorial, and our curator gave a very moving talk. So actually the Minuteman, whatever it's called, the media, town media had taped that. So anyway, we're putting this program together. So I went down to, I'm going to try to be like the online MC, but I pride myself on being not a bad speaker, but when you do it in front of a camera, and I try to do cards rather than read it, and it's a whole different, so just watching it, it's passable, it's okay, but it's,
it's horrible watching yourself, right?
Yeah, but I've spent my career, I know that I'm good at introducing speakers. Though I tend to read them, and when you're on the camera reading, it just looks bad. So I knew I couldn't do that, but the natural flow of my voice is just not on that. Anyway, I'll try to send it to all of you. So overall, I'm proud of the content. I'm going to do a Zoom interview with Daniel Chester French's. He did the Melvin Memorial Sculpture Morning Victory with his biographer tomorrow. So anyway, we're putting it together. It'd be like my notion was it's a kind of 45-minute program. If people want to watch it, we'll also send it out where people can just watch individual pieces. But in lieu of going to a Memorial Day parade or ceremony, people might watch this from their homes. I wrote an op-ed about it that'll run in the Concord Journal on Thursday, saying, for this Memorial Day, consider watching this program as a way of, honoring the holiday. So anyway, we're trying different things, but we're like everyone else, learning new tricks.
I have someone else on the phone. Thank you, Tom. 369-7172. You're muted. I don't know who you are. Want to speak up? I'm wondering if it's Di.
Who's the host? They might be able to unmute them.
I can unmute them if you want me to. I just didn't want to do it.
This looks like a landline, so maybe she can't unmute.
Okay, here I can.
Line.
Di, is that you?
Hello? Yes.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you on a landline?
I am.
Good. Welcome to the meeting.
Okay.
We're just doing around the table to see how people are doing. Do you have news about the library?
Well, the website's full of all kinds of different programs that they're doing, and the newspaper has been talking about them or writing about them as well. The library staff has just been extraordinary in terms of creating all sorts of stuff. So everybody is, doing the best they can. There have been a number of Zoom events and so forth, but nothing starting up inside, obviously.
You have that program to document your experience during COVID. How is that going? Archiving it?
The documenting experience program is through for the special collections, and so the goal is to collect people's writings, journals, stories, just relating to the experiences that they have had during this period of time. And I can't tell you just how much has been collected at this point in time, but I did hear that people were sending things in, so remotely, obviously.
That sounds great. I'll just share briefly what's going on at the Umbrella. I think it's kind of a repeat of what a lot of you guys are saying. We've canceled everything through the fall or through the spring, all of our classes and events. And I think we'll be announcing next week that our summer camp will move from on-site to online. We have put all of our spring courses online, or many courses online, and that just opened up last week. And we've seen some good response to that, so that's encouraging that there's a population out there that wants to continue to participate in the arts and classes and that sort of thing. So that's encouraging. Our board has been great. Our donors have been great. We've been spending a lot of time working towards our gala, which we didn't cancel, which is May 29th. It will be virtual, and it will also be live streamed for free. So anybody can participate who wants to. We'll actually have two platforms for it. There's a kind of a Zoom platform where sponsors and their guests will participate in kind of live interacting cocktail hour and that kind of thing. And then once the program starts, it'll be live streamed throughout. So if you want to check it out, you can get information on our website. I don't know if it's up there now, but should be soon. And like 51 Walden, we don't know when things will start up again. We're thinking about programming in the fall, thinking that our performing arts schedule is probably have to be modified, which is kind of heartbreaking given the brand new theater and not being able to use it. And even social distancing in the theater is difficult. We have fixed seats, so we can't just move them around. So we either have to take seats out or block them off or something. So that's been a challenge. We haven't had to lay anybody off yet, knock on wood, luckily. We also got PPP money and spending a lot of time in development, like Kate says. So yeah, fingers crossed that we get through this hole. And one thing is that I've been working on kind of the protocols for reopening. Not that we really will reopen, but employees will be allowed back into the building. I'm thinking that artists will probably come back to their studios. So we're working on getting the right signage up and getting all the protocols in place and signing our little poster and checking off all the check boxes to say that we've trained our staff and do all that's required for that. So, yeah, that's work for this week.
And Jerry, do you have anything you've written up that you'd be willing to share on that?
Written up about
those protocols? I mean, I know they're just the same for the state, but if you're willing to share it, I'd happy to see it. I'm
happy to share it. I think we're going to share it with the staff and artists later this week, so I'll send it.
Okay, great.
It's really, it's just breaking out what the state says you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's everything everybody knows about wearing masks and washing your hands and social distancing.
Right.
And all that kind of thing. And the questions come up, do we have to regulate how many people can be in the elevator? It's kind of.
Yeah. Does the staff have that? I mean, not the staff, but I mean the town, for all the town buildings and so forth, would it be the same?
So the town is working, Marcia's probably on this committee, so there is a reopening task force that's meeting daily at 9 a.m. to come up with plans for town and municipal buildings, knowing that they're different. The BD Center is different from the Visitor Center, from the Town Hall. So that committee started meeting, I think, the end of last week, and they're meeting daily to develop the plans.
Oh, good.
We're looking.
And what we've noticed is ours is very site specific as well. So. Go ahead, Marcia, sorry.
I think, actually, the task force just got started this week. The senior management team has been discussing it. The governor just released the guidelines, Monday. So we're looking at that and seeing what we need to get in place. And we've been talking, Carrie Cronin is part of our senior management team. So we've been looking at what does that mean for the library and how would we begin. I think she's begun conversations where some staff can come back into the building. We're limited to no more than 25%, so we need to understand what that means. There are a lot of challenges, and so I think we'll be bringing in staff first, getting things in place before we open buildings up to the public, and it might not be a wide open kind of thing, but it might be by appointment, and just exploring what all the possible ways that we can deliver services to the public. Thank you.
Thanks. I was going to end this roundtable with asking the town how things are going with you and what's happening culturally.
What's happening?
And we have 3 of you on the call for that, so you can choose who says what when.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, because there's so many different aspects of what the town is doing. I know recreation is doing a lot of different things. Beth has been reaching out to the different tourism-oriented groups. We've got this fund from the Mass Cultural Council that we need to look at expending, or at least tying up by June 30th. And what does that mean? West Concord Cultural District has been implementing their program, which was to get the poster that was done last year into a format that can be outdoors. And then they're working on a new mural. And so through the whole COVID experience, they've shipped out the tiles to be painted, and they're gathering them back, and their funding has covered all of that. So, and then there's we're looking forward to the art, the Go Outdoors along the Bruce Rubin Rail Trail, and that's been delayed to, I think, July. And that's through folks at the Umbrella. And then the West Concord Cultural District is completely rethinking some of the things that they've been planning on for the fall. They're not sure if they're going to go forward with their Porch Fest or not. So it's a lot is up in the air.
Where do they do their mural in West Concord? The tile mural.
Well,
is that the one?
It hasn't been installed yet. We've there will be one, the one that they did last year. West Concord Goes Bluegrass will be on the side of Reasons to be Cheerful once it's completed. And then they're looking at working with John Boynton to install a mural along the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. This year's mural is West Concord is a celebration of the farming community in West Concord and around. So it's a very creative. I don't know when it's going to be unveiled or when it's going to be completed, but hopefully by June 30th, it will be, all the funds will be expended. We've been working with Billy Crosby on some signage in West Concord and taking the Mass Cultural Council's logo, modifying it for West Concord, and then so we can provide some directional signage for parking and for noticing the cultural district. So that has been delayed somewhat, and we continue to work with him on that.
Great, thanks.
It's like
Sounds
West
that they've
Concord
been
is
really
putting
bu-
us to shame, right?
I know, I was going to say, they've been really busy.
Well, it's a different focus. They had a whole different project and a different program.
Yeah.
So, they're a year ahead of you.
As Jerry
So,
said, recreation doing, right now, recreation is planning on summer camp, pending the guidelines that they're hoping to come out in some modified format, less kids, keeping no field trips, obviously, stuff like that, and trying to do some of their, a lot of the exercise classes are online. So BD's been offering free classes to Concord residents and staff, and there's a lot of programs that are happening online. People are signing up, they like it. We launched Concord to Concord, a virtual challenge for running and walking the 63 miles between Concord, Mass and Concord, New Hampshire. It's been a lot of fun. We have 12 people signed up, but Concord, New Hampshire already has 50 people signed up. You register on the Concord Rec website, get a free t-shirt, you walk the 63 miles, you submit a log, and then you're entered to win a prize. So the Concord, New Hampshire people are entered to win a day trip to Concord, Mass, and vice versa. So I have like a restaurant, the Concord Museum gift card, a gift card to Revolutionary Concord. So the Concord, New Hampshire people will win that, and then our folks will win a basket for a day trip to Concord, New Hampshire. So it's been a little fun. And we're working with the Convention and Visitor Bureau to really promote outdoors. Obviously, it's physically and mentally healthy to be outdoors right now, as long as you're socially distant. So we have a press release coming out for Lexington and Concord to promote all the outdoors and the trails. And I'm hoping to get the visitor center open, even if it's just me in there by myself handing out maps. I'm hoping to make that happen as a reality over the summer.
That sounds great.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
and
that
the new
sounds great.
website, the new website is out there. It's launched. If any of you haven't been on it, I'm promoting all the events. So Jerry's May 29th event is up there. I have links to the Concord Museum because there's a ton of virtual programming happening. Every Concord business has a free listing right now if they want one. And we're promoting it through social channels, the town website, and it's growing really nicely. It's visitconcord.org.
Nice. Thank you.
Terry, do you have anything from the Selectman's office? Select Board's office?
No, I think that Marcia and Beth have covered it really well. And it's very interesting to hear all the initiatives that all of you are doing. Thank you for all of your struggles and everything.
Well, it's good to hear everybody else's to commiserate.
Jerry, I should just note I have another meeting at 2. So
Okay, I do too.
I do also, yeah.
So let's just get to the meat of the reason why we're Zooming today. And that is, Marcia approached me a week or so ago about how we still have this Mass Cultural Council grant of $5,000, and it's matched by town funds of $5,000. So we have $10,000 to spend. And the requirements on that is that it be encumbered by June 30th, at least the Mass Cultural Council portion of it, which means that we need to identify a project and put something in place that will encumber $5,000 worth of service. So we wanted to open it up to this group. Some of the preliminary thoughts we had talked about is that the idea of a film festival might not be able to happen. So how else could we spend that money? And another topic that's been talked about for years is this idea of public art in Concord. So an idea on the table might be to hire someone to do a master plan of a public art program, which might be simply identifying sites, maybe putting together calls for art or something like that. But I've had 2 conversations this week around the film that we had chosen for the film festival. The producer reached out to me and said that they are engaging with clients or people they've been involved with in the past to work on virtual festivals. Mm-hmm. So that's new information, and I didn't have a chance to follow up with them. And now this idea of a drive-in might kind of reinvigorate this idea of a film festival. So, Marcia, do you want to add anything about what we're required to do with these funds and by when?
Well, I've talked to Luis Cato at Mass Cultural Council, and he would like to have it encumbered. I mean, have the contract or have an agreement or have the funds somehow dedicated to whatever it's going to be. So that's just $5,000, and then the $5,000 from the town can happen whenever. So if we wanted, if there was for whatever we're going to do, we could tie that up in some fashion by June 30th. That's all that we need to do. We don't have to implement, we don't have to go forward. We just need to have it contracted in some fashion.
So what are people's thoughts?
I kind of like the idea of a virtual film festival, and and maybe the drive-in, so it's kind of a hybrid model. And I know that what people have been doing is showing somehow getting the rights to show the film via Zoom or Vimeo or whatever. I don't know how you, but then having a conversation afterwards that people can participate in again by home. And I wonder if and I know Kim has great context, you do too, Jerry. I mean, if we started with some really big, nationally recognized kind of film, and we spent $1,000 or $2,500 to get the director to participate, or the actor or actress, or I don't know, to kind of kick it off and then say, here's the lineup. We're going to do, 5 or 6 others, and these are the dates, and those ones might not have as big of names, but you could have historians or scholars, or anyway, that intrigues me a little more than the public art one.
Has anyone seen a virtual film festival?
No.
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 I don't know if I would, I think talking to a director would be great, but I've been on Zoom lectures and had Q&A at the end where there were 100 people on it, and it's a little messy. It's not the easiest. I mean, we did it very orderly, people wrote their questions and somebody read them out loud, but didn't have the sort of pizzazz of seeing the director in person, for sure. Mm-hmm. It was not as exciting, but that would be my only feedback, having done a big Zoom lecture.
I'm wondering about the sign that, that we were talking about designing and putting up for the district. Is there any expenses regarding that we could move that project forward just to get the signage up?
The state was going to provide us with the signs, but they haven't finished them yet. And as I said, we've taken the concept that was put forward by the Mass Cultural Council and are making it specific to West Concord. So taking the same color palette, but putting in some icons from West Concord that are it's really cool. We could do something similar, I think, with Billy Crosby to do for Concord Center. Mm-hmm. So we could get a contract in place with him and then take 6 months or so to develop the idea, and then to spend the remaining $5,000 in implementing the program. It's a possibility.
Well, I just raise it because we had done some preliminary work with somebody who, I can't remember the fellow's name, who's worked with us. Mm-hmm. And so it's been something we've been looking at anyway, so it's the most specific thing we've been looking at other than the film festival.
I'm kind of feeling saturated by screen time, and so the idea of public art is more appealing to me right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm saturated also, but I like the idea of a drive-in theater that's almost like a tailgate, and it doesn't even have to be just movies. It could be plays or music or comedians, storytelling. There's a lot of a lot of different, I mean, creating a makeshift stage is not that hard to do. I mean, you can rent those pretty quickly. And I just kind of can, the vision of like all these cars with their like backs open and families sitting in the back, you know, tailgating, watching something. It just seemed, it's appealing to me as a really creative way to get through a tough situation. That said, I had an idea that I probably is crazy, but I think it would be super useful for the town of Concord along these lines, because Concord has such a wealth of things to do. And so you probably all know Rick Steves, who does the travel program. I think it would be, he does apps. I think it would be great to hire him to do a Concord, Travel to Concord app, or, you know, have something really wonderful done that people who came to Concord to visit here, they could use that on their phone to go around Concord and do all the great things there are to do, whether it's walking trails or going to the parks or going to museums, whatever it is. There's so many, and I don't believe we have anything that people can use on their phone.
Okay, I've been arguing for an app for years and years and years.
Oh, okay.
Through the chamber and whatnot. And I think I brought it up at the first tourism huddle. And the response I get is, you need cell phone coverage to use an app.
Oh, sure, that's true. Okay.
So one way we got around that, so the new website has itineraries built in, so suggested things people can do. And each page has an option to text or email the itinerary to you so that it gets around the cell phone necessity and the Wi-Fi necessity. We're hooked up with a text feature as well. So it'll be able to text you the lodging information, the hotel, the itinerary. And then we put an app on hold as well for that very same reason. So ideally the app could follow the itineraries if we ever got there, since the site is now, it's brand new and mobile friendly. So the site's mobile friendly and you can get your itineraries texted or emailed to you. So that was a soft launch for getting around that idea.
Okay.
So does that mean that Rick Steves could produce the content and we just download it from the...
I'd love to have his voice. And also, you know what? He can't go to Europe. He should do a travel around America thing, you know? I just...
Great idea.
The right time to do it.
I think we have two really good ideas, at least two good ideas. I'm wondering how much Rick Steves would charge to do a little video, and then we could put it on our website. And also, I love the idea of the drive-in film festival. I think it's good for community building. Are tired of being home watching screens, the food trucks, the whole way Kim was talking about it. I think we could explore both of those ideas.
It would be so much fun. I mean, I think people would love that. Yeah. And they can just bring their own picnic. You know, they don't have to. It would be safe, which I think is very important. But the more I talk to people, the more they're like, I don't want to go into a building, you know? It's tough. I mean, there'd be a bathroom issue, but they could just drive home. It's good. Anyway, the bathroom issue is tough. We're trying to schedule plein air classes, people painting outside, and it's always, what about the bathrooms? Yeah. So.
So those are great ideas, but I don't think we should take the signage off the table, because that's probably the quickest, easiest thing to do between now and June 30th, right?
Yeah.
Do we have an estimate of what the signage would be of the 5,000?
We have never negotiated a fee with, and Kate, his name escapes me.
David.
Yeah, thank you.
David Frieden.
We've never negotiated a fee with him, and I haven't been in touch with him since we left. but there's his fee, if that's $1,000 or $2,000, and then Billy Crosby's fee would be, he could easily spend $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those two have worked together a lot too.
Well, I think that makes sense to go forward. We've done that work.
Well, we started. Did we actually decide on one? I can't remember. So many, but I think we did, didn't we? At the last
I don't
meeting.
think we wrapped it up.
It hasn't been, go ahead. It hasn't been wrapped up, and I don't think it's been finalized. And so, but I think getting them under contract to say, we're going to continue the conversation and until we come up with something and get the contract in place for whatever it is, the $3,000, $5,000, and we can go from there. I mean, Billy's put in a ton of time for the West Concord group, and I think he hasn't charged us that much yet. So,
I don't know. Part of me says that a film fest or film showing drive-in is more of a benefit to the whole community, and I like the idea. I don't know how much it would cost. You know, we have the screen. I don't know how much the rights would cost, but it's possible that we could say the first $5,000 from MCC we used for a summer drive-in, and then the other $5,000 to get those art signage up, which gives us more time to format the signs, figure out placement, get them up and running. Just my 2 cents that I'm feeling the community needs as much positivity and things to do, whether it's an art walk, whether it's a mural, whether it's something outdoors. I think that benefits the community a little more, but that's just my piece on it.
Well, I would agree with you that it would be a real spark, something very different and very exciting. I guess my question would be, who's going to organize it? I mean, it sounds to me as if there's an awful lot to plan, from what the film or presentation would be to, the people who are going to be taking reservations or whatever. I mean, just the program itself, the publicity of it, whatever we're going to do for porta potties or whatever the arrangement's going to be. I mean, all of the logistical aspects of it have got to be done by somebody. So I guess we'd have to pull together a committee pretty quickly.
Right.
So in terms of spending the money, if the town owns the screen and the equipment, is that right?
Yep.
So there's no cost there. So the costs are if we hire an organizer, or if we pay rights to movies, or if we hire talent. What if we hired Steve Carell to do an act?
But
Just a live opener, somebody, if you make a little platform, you have a live opener or something.
Just because the town owns it, setting it up, is that free? I mean, or will the town need to?
I've never been to one of the movies at Rideout. Marcia, have you?
No, I have not.
But the recreation staff runs those. So I don't know. I don't think it would be 100% free. It might be some overtime costs or something. I'm not really sure, but I certainly am willing to pursue that and talk to Ryan about it. We'd already talked about it as a department to see if we could pull it off, how we could pull off the Rideout. We already had movies, I think, planned for the summer. So, it's possible we make it sort of a joint package. We get some rec staff that could help. We get some staff from this committee. But I'm certainly happy to pursue that with recreation just to see what the logistics are.
Okay.
How do people imagine this? Is this a weekly summer event, or is it a one-time event?
Weekly would be nice if we could do like 4 or 5 of them, saying, mid-July through mid-August or something. I don't know if you'd need a police detail or, you know, there's probably some public safety things to just be careful.
I'm trying to think of some of the things that normally happen in the summertime. I know the library has a Shakespearean group that does performances on the lawn, and they usually have at least 3 concerts, bluegrass and, I don't know, different kinds of bands and so forth that come, and people sit on the lawn, and that will not be happening. And so I wonder if whatever they might have planned, you could put up on stage and people could be in a car, or what other groups are doing that in the summertime that normally they would be either in a, you know, close cheek to jowl, and now they could be up and up on a stage, amplified, because they'd be paying for maybe amplification and stuff, but people would be in their cars.
We'd have to have somebody setting it up, because I think on the ride out situation, you had people sitting outside, right? So you didn't really, you had speakers and that was it. In this case, people have to be in their cars, set up with Bluetooth. So there's a little bit more technology, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to find somebody that knows how to do that.
Right.
I'm just looking at the high school parking lot. Because you'd have to socially distance the vehicles, right? So maybe every other parking space.
Probably.
They're kind of two pods. The center is filled in with some landscaping, and maybe each pod would be 50 cars. Maybe you'd have 2, but you could limit it. You could limit it the number of people that could attend, right?
Yeah.
Where is this? In the center of town? Is that where you're thinking?
I'm looking at the high school parking lot.
Oh, the high school. Okay, good. Yeah.
Do we have to get permission from the school committee or the schools in order to do that, for starters?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure we do.
I'm just wondering if maybe we should break this up so that we have a couple of people interested in one, a couple of people interested in another, to try and pull together some more specifics as to whether we could actually do it and what it would take to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm happy to talk to Dave and get that ball rolling again. And I'm also happy to participate in the drive-in idea. Kim, do you have energy around that?
I do.
Okay. Anybody else we have to keep it under a quorum, right?
Right.
I can help with the drive-in. I'm not officially counted, so I can at least help with the relationship with rec.
So if Kim and Kate and I work on the drive-in idea.
Okay.
You just seem so passionate about it, Kate.
Is she there?
I think she's frozen.
It's frozen.
I thought she was just staring into the camera.
Well, I bet Kate will be on. It seems like she wanted to be.
Anybody else want to participate? Either committee?
I'm happy to be helpful, but you'll have to point me in the right direction.
I'm fairly straight out on other things, so I'll take a pass if that's okay.
So the only thing that is sort of dangling, and I think it might be, I mean, people have seemed to be interested, is the Rick Steves thing. I don't know if Kate has, I mean, how do we find Rick Steves, and could we just ask him if he'd be interested in doing it? I mean, that might be a straightforward first step on that one.
I'm sorry, my internet is going in and out right now, and I heard
there you are.
But I've probably been here about 2/3 of the time. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I do not have a connection to Rick Steves. If that's
okay.
what you asked. But he's is it through WGBH? I'm not sure who he works through, but I could do a little research if that's.
Well, the idea was that if we do a little exploration just in 1 week's time, see what we can come up with.
Oh, I see.
And figure out
And
how
then-
much it would cost, whether he's interested and how much it would cost, Kate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And for that one, the signage and the drive-in, I think are the three, right?
Yes, signage, drive-in, Rick Steves.
Yeah, and so if
Hey,
we,
we signed. Go ahead.
so if we give ourselves 1 week to figure out as much specifics as we possibly can for those three, then we really have something substantive to vote on.
Right.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay, I might argue for the week after because next week is tough.
Okay. Well, whatever. Why don't you set the deadline? We just need to have enough time to.
Yep.
Before the 30th.
So since I'm not sure, did I sign up for something?
Yes, you did.
What?
You signed up
I
for
think-
two things.
No, I think you signed up for Rick Steves.
Okay.
You signed up for Rick Steves and the drive-in.
You did? Really? What do I have to? Okay, well maybe
You
somebody.
and Kim and I will talk. Yeah, you and Kim and I will
Someone
talk.
can send
yeah.
me an email or talk to me. That'd be great. I have to figure out the internet issues I'm having. Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Great.
So we're all set, I
Bye-bye.
think.
Bye.
Anybody have any other comments?
Jeremy, are we allowed to meet again in 2 weeks? Is there a limit on how many times we're allowed to meet?
No, so it's just really, I mean, it's up to committees to decide what is essential for their operations, it seems like. So really, whatever you guys need to.
All right,
just
well, thank
note-
you, everybody.
Yes, you're
ahead.
allowed to meet.
Yes.
No
That's
problem.
good.
Very good. Thank you.
Fine.
I guess.
Tom,
Bye.
you do have something?
No, it's fine.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Meeting
Yes,
adjourned.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.